Hello, welcome to the Run to Remember podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Fairs, joined alongside race director Carrie Watkins. This week, we will honor and remember those impacted by the Oklahoma City bombing on April 19, 1995. And today, we have a very special podcast. By hearing the personal story from each of these folks, we'll all get a better understanding of what the Memorial Marathon, the Run to Remember, stands for. Carrie.
Well, what a special day.
It is.
The why and why we run is highlighted today, and I think you're going to be inspired by these stories. I say this to my team all the time and to our volunteers on the marathon. If we don't get April 19th right and remember why we're here, why this community's been changed forever, nothing else really matters. The marathon's insignificant if it's just another race.
Right.
So it was a great idea to have those who are our closest stakeholders, family members, survivors, first responders, and community folks community partners who have played a big part in moving us forward. And so I think today's going to be very special. Hang on, you're going to want to hear every one of these vignettes, and they will be inspiring. And if you don't listen to it now, listen to it while you're running on race morning, and it'll keep your legs moving in the right direction the entire way.
When things start to get hard, this will help you dig deep and remember why we're running.
Some of our favorite people, so thank you guys for being here.
Yes, so we're going to start off first with family member Sara Sweet, whose dad, Stephen Williams, was killed while working for the Social Security Administration. Sarah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
We're
you?
so glad to have you here.
Well, thank you for being here, or thank you for asking me.
One of my blessings from doing this podcast is the people that I've gotten to meet, and Sarah's one of those people who I've gotten to know, and have learned a lot from your story, and I'm inspired by just your kindness and generosity.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us about your favorite Cubs fan.
That would be my dad.
That's right.
Yes. In 2016, after the Cubs won the World Series, I brought a shirt down. I had a lot to spare, so I wanted to just because I thought of him that day. You know, we long-term Cubs fans weren't sure that might ever happen.
That's true.
So I wanted to involve him in some way.
You guys, the word hope meant a lot to Cubs fans, right? You were always hopeful.
Yes. Oh, true.
And so you put a Cubs shirt on your dad's shirt. It gained a lot of attention around the country, but very powerful that just your touch, kind of highlighted the relationship with your dad. He was a girl dad, and
yes.
Tell us a little bit about your dad.
Well, so he was, I'm the oldest of three girls, and so he was just, my dad sort of was a work hard, play hard kind of guy. He had very high expectations of us girls, and he really modeled that women can do anything. So he didn't, there was never any sort of he didn't treat us any differently, I think, than he would have treated boys. He wanted us to be educated. He wanted us to be curious. He wanted us to be lifelong learners. Wanted us to be, be close with our extended family. He just modeled a lot of really great qualities that I strive to achieve today.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing yourself, actually.
I know. It really
so
does.
that's pretty cool. You also have an incredible mother, and
yes.
this was a shock on April 19th. And tell us how you guys moved forward and picked yourself up, and your mom kind of led the way.
Well, so yes, my mom is a very tough, strong woman. And so when it happened, one thing that I talk to kids a lot about when I come to the memorial is the fact that my sisters and I all responded very, very differently. And my youngest sister, who was 15 at the time, she just wanted to be with friends. Now that I have a 16-year-old, I can understand that. At the time, I was not very patient and understanding with her. I was just stuck in the intensity of the grief. My middle sister was a senior in high school. She was 18, and she her graduation was within a few weeks of this happening, and she sang a solo. I just sat there and cried at her graduation in front of all these people. And I would never have been able to even get up and give a speech or talk or say anything. So she was very, very strong throughout all of it. And my mom really just let us let us grieve the way we needed to. And another thing, in this, I feel like that I struggle with right now, something is that people sort of get in their corners. We're very divided right now. And one thing that happened after the bombing is that we received so much love and support. I mean, I have a scrapbook that's probably 4 inches thick, filled with cards that I received just from, everyone in my orbit. I was a teller at a bank, and I have cards from customers from that bank.
Wow.
So it's a reminder that those connections are so important. Everyone has their best friends, but even, just those sort of loose connections in our community are so important when something like this happens.
You need a big group, and it
Yes.
takes a village. It really does.
It really does.
So you guys have a bunch of folks running. You usually run, but you're nursing an injury, so we put you to
Yes.
work at the expo.
Yes.
And you're going to wish you were running, I'm afraid. But
It's going to be its own kind
it's
of
going to be its own marathon.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you too much more, but anyway.
Right, she's not going to show up.
Your mom usually walks and runs.
Yes.
And you got a bunch of other folks.
Yes, so my mom and some of my dad's best friends they've decided to downgrade from the half marathon to the 5K
Perfect.
this year.
That's
so
perfect.
they're not quite ready to embrace the senior marathon.
That's okay.
I'm gonna give your mom a hard time about that.
You should. But then I kind of put this out to my kids in a very sort of with no expectations. What if you guys, my 2 children who are 20 and 16, and my nephew who's 22, and then the older 2 have significant others. And I said, would you all be interested in doing the relay? And none of them are runners, I should add, at all. And they immediately responded back, "We're in," which
that's
was
cool.
very, I'm thrilled.
Do they have a
So,
name for their team? Do you know?
They are the Scrambled Legs.
I love that. I'm gonna watch for that.
Who came up with that? But
Sarah, on race day and at the expo, people can pick up a bib that's in honor of.
Yes.
Talk to us about, as somebody who's a family member, what those bibs mean to you.
Well, so yes, you can run in honor of someone who lost their life on April 19th, 1995, and so really probably the best way I can describe the feeling is there was one year when I was running the half, and the weather was absolutely terrible. It was freezing. It was raining. It was very cold, rainy, and I was probably in, I don't know, like miles 7 or 8. And I just, was tired. The weather was miserable. And I look up and I see that there's a lady right in front of me that says she's running in honor of my dad. And I did not know who she was. I had no idea. And so I started running a little faster to catch up with her. And I just blurted out, you're running for my dad. And, we just had this moment. And
Wow.
I was crying, but then I was like, I am going to finish this, and I'm going to quit whining about and having this internal dialogue about how bad the weather is, and just go for it. So
Incredible.
it makes a huge difference. It's really it's so inspiring to see people with the names on their backs.
Well, Sarah, thank you for everything you do. You and Kyle are great supporters.
Likewise,
and
Carrie.
I can call Sarah anytime and run an idea by her, and that means a lot. Just that she's going to shoot straight and just kind of a moral compass for all of us. She's a great leader, and we're so grateful to have her on our board. And she's co-chair of the expo, so you'll see her around on Friday and Saturday.
Yes, you will.
And
I'm excited.
and she'll be at the finish line, I'm sure, on Sunday, watching for that relay.
Yes,
Scrambled
for
legs
sure.
to come
Scrambled
in.
legs, that'll be fun. Sarah,
All
it's
right.
always good to have you here.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
joining
Really
us.
appreciate both of you
Thanks for
all.
sharing
Thanks.
about your dad. With us next is Nick Chafey, a family member. Nick's mother, Rona Kuhner Chafey, was part of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. Nick, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're
Nick.
glad to have you back. So you were quite young when the bombing happened. Yeah. kind of-
Extremely young.
Yeah.
So.
Tell us about that and how old you were and
Well,
how it
I was
impacted you.
I was 4, so I have no memories, 0 memories. Everything that I know about my mom is what's been told to me verbally or through pictures and writing. So, yeah, everything's more of a learning process than a memory or remembrance. So, it's a little bit different, but it's she's still my mom, and kind of like to think about it like that. So that's kind of how I've gone about it with life and with my family and just with family members and even former colleagues of hers.
So we're 29 years later. You have really learned a lot about your mom through the years, and then you've chosen to give back in a way that is, I'm not going to say unusual, but you've chosen to serve her in a way through this marathon. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything for me is it's about creating memories and creating new memories in honor of my mom. And it's definitely not easy to come down here. And right before I walked up here, I had to take a breath and be like, I got to slow down and remember why why I'm actually here. Because even in this time of the year, it seems like it can just become another burden or another thing to get done or a checklist.
It's heavy. April is a heavy month for everyone.
And even being a family member, I'm having to think, slow down. Why are you doing this? There's purpose to this. You're not just trying to get through the day. You got to remember that we're doing this for my mom. So even when you're a family member, it's still those things come to mind. And yeah,
probably especially because you're a family member. I mean, it's a heavier lift for you guys, and it's a lot of emotions that come back. I hear a lot of people say, I mean, they dread turning the calendar to April just because of the memories and what it pushes you to do. A lot of people say, oh, it's been 29 years, we've moved past this. It's never over. I mean, the grief and the reliving and the moving forward is a process that will last a lifetime.
Well, and Sarah brought up an interesting point of, she has there's three daughters, and they all grieve differently. And I would think that that's still true 29 years later.
Right.
How you process this is still different. It's probably different day by day and person by person.
And like for myself, not having memories, it's just like the grieving process never happened for me.
Right.
So it's the grieving process is new every year.
Right.
And like you say, April's it's not like a normal death, which death's never easy to talk about, but this is one of those events where it's always relived in April, especially for like my family members and hearing my dad talk and my sister talk, and it's not easy for them to come down here. It's not easy for them to turn on the TV and watch the ceremony. It's not easy for them to to see the memorial as this beautiful token of remembrance. It's for them. It's the memories of April 19th, 1995, not April 19th, 2024, and it'll always be like that.
That is so true. I love how you put that. Well, you have a new role this year, and it's not running, but it's all about runners.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So like for me to be, work with you guys, like yesterday we were at the RMAC, and that was awesome.
Wasn't that amazing?
That was just incredible to see that. And kind of just to see, the roles of the people that are involved and what their everyday looks like, was just, I don't know, you get to see the big picture of not just...
That was the goal, is just to see beyond what we're each doing.
Right, not the big picture of the marathon, but the people that make up the marathon.
Right.
And see how, they're involved in the community and how they make the community work. I'm a big picture person, and kind of for me to see that just, it makes me appreciate what they do in terms of them giving to us, because they're so busy. Seeing all that, seeing what all they're responsible doing on a normal daily basis, and for them to give time to make this thing function, that's awesome.
I know. And they and so many of them work the event. And so it's so meaningful to them as well. And I think about that as we listened to you guys today in honor of your mom or Sarah's dad or survivors or first responders. Those folks are stepping up. It's intense. What he's talking about is kind of the headquarters of where all the fire and police, ambulance, healthcare. It's all run through a kind of a command center and have direct access to the finish line and to me. And it is a remarkable process. And we had Tom Grill here from Boston a couple weeks ago, and he said, you got to get those folks in RMAC so they realize their job's key, but it only works if everybody else's job works. And so we did that yesterday, and it was pretty powerful. Yeah,
and it's, I don't know, for me, it's just like, I see it as just the few that are giving in right now, but like back in 95, when the whole community was given resources, given time, I don't know, it just gives me purpose to be there and to serve, and especially for the people that gave so much for me to, be able to go to college, without having on a scholarship, or just people that are in my life that I don't know of. Like my mom worked for drug enforcement, and there's so many people in drug enforcement I have no idea about that know me and have supported me through my life, and I'll never get to meet those people. So it's just, there's people out there I don't know, but, those are the people I'm trying to serve now, because they serve me, I'll never know them, and there'll be people I serve that never know who I am.
Yeah.
So just gives me some purpose.
So you'll be out on the course on race day, helping with the medical side
Yeah.
of the event. And what does that mean for you to be out there that day? What does this marathon mean to you and to your family?
Well, to me, it's just another opportunity to serve in a way that's, gives me purpose. I've been a runner myself, and sometimes I wish I would run the full marathon. I've done the half, done the relay. The full is always a goal, but man, that's such a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But I want to say this was my first involvement with the marathon was back in maybe 2015. My aunt wanted to run the half in honor of my mom, and her name's Jenny. She's my mom's sister. And she trained for it and got me on board with it, and it was my first half. Golly, the next day was brutal. but just to be able to do that with her,
That's a cool
was
memory.
awesome. It was just awesome. And after that, I got involved with Ed on the medical side, and it just, for me, it was a way to stick around. And
Sports trainer by
sports
profession.
trainer by profession. And now I'm involved with it with you guys, and getting volunteers and dealing with the logistics of that, which has been, thank God we have Ed Sunderland. That guy is the most thorough person.
One of your mentors.
Yeah, one of my mentors.
Ed's been
and,
around a long time doing this. A great guy, and he's trained you well. But it's a big job.
Yeah, it is a big job, and he is so thorough. And I mean, he's just the best example I could have. So I'm just grateful for him, and for him to show me the ropes. So
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling your mom's pretty proud of you,
I do
and
too.
And you're going to honor her, or you honor her daily, I know. But I know race weekend, to have someone there that lost the most, giving a lot, means a lot to people too. So thanks for stepping up.
yeah, absolutely, it's been a joy. So
Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
yeah.
When Oklahoma became home to one of Google's data centers, its corporate leaders quickly wanted to become part of the community. For the past 7 years, Google has been a committed partner as co-sponsor of the 5K race.
I'm Andrew Silvestri, Head of Community Affairs for Google here in Oklahoma. Google has been proud to call Oklahoma home for over a decade now. Time and time again, Oklahomans have proven themselves to be strong, resilient, and hopeful. There is no greater example of the Oklahoma standard or the spirit of this community than the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. We at Google are honored to support the participants in this year's marathon, and we are inspired by your effort and dedication to remember the lives lost and forever changed on April 19th.
Joining us now is Kim Neese. Kim is a survivor from the Oklahoma Water Resource Building. Kim, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
Kim also had chaired the Conscience Committee for us for several years. She's been very involved. But you lost a couple of colleagues that morning on April 19th.
Yes, we at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, Trudy Rigney and Robert Chipman were two employees that we lost. Of course, we had many that were injured, but those two lost their lives that day. And that's why we continue to honor them here.
And as a survivor, you were in the building, and what are the few points, the highlight of that moment of just the strength you saw of people and getting you guys all out? And
Yeah, crazy thinking. You thought really that it was anything besides a bomb, obviously that had gone off. But a lot of our division chiefs were in a meeting that morning, and my office was right outside their office on the third floor, and just trying to get out of the third floor with everything that had blown in that morning, and trying to get to the back door to the fire escape, and it was gone. And but once we made it out, I just remember going down to the Regency Tower, because I remember they had a store in there, and I just grabbed their paper towels and said, "I'm taking these," and he just looked at me and said, "Okay." And just going back up to the post office, and just, you don't realize you're injured and you're just trying to take care of other people.
Right.
But everyone did a great job, really, of trying to name off people and who was missing and that type of thing.
So you've been around a lot and have helped us tremendously. You've given away medals. You've done, I think, the 5K, but you're actually doing the relay this year.
I am, with my family. My daughters have both run the relay with friends, and my son-in-law for the last several years. Actually, my son-in-law's run the full marathon last year, and he's doing that again this year.
Oh, he is? Is he part of the relay as well?
He is. He's doing the first leg.
Yeah, that's great.
And then my husband and both, of course, Emily's about 30 weeks pregnant, so she's not doing the full relay. She's going to walk some. But, so all 5 of us are doing the relay together. So.
And so what's your team name?
It's just Fam Bam. That's our.
Okay.
That's our.
Fam Bam.
Yep.
The part of the relay it's so fun is just looking at the team names, just
And
the create in the uniform, and the costumes.
The costume.
Running.
It's not a costume.
Yeah, but whatever you're running in.
The matching.
That's our text group. So that's just what we call ourselves.
You guys have a cute little outfit picked out and stuff.
Erin is in charge of that.
She'll get it handled.
Whatever she brings us is what we'll put on.
That's right.
So what does it mean to you as a survivor to participate in the race?
It's always meant a lot to me just to be able to come down and be there on race morning and listen. It's a very special time, those seconds that tick off, and just thinking about all of the people that lost their lives that morning. And if you haven't done it, you need to. It's one of the most emotional, why you're there that morning. So, and for me, it's just the continuation of Bob and Trudy and all of the people that lost their lives that morning and we're running to remember, and we'll never forget. And that's why we run. And there's so many people. It's so, like Sara said, of seeing those names and passing out the medals when those people are coming in, and how much it means to them. And once you've done it year after year, you see the same people that run through, and you give them their medal, and they're just so honored. And, we're honored that they're there doing it.
But they're thanking you guys for handing it out. I know, I love that.
Yes, and it's just so meaningful. I just love it, and it means a lot to me to be able to do it and give back.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but are you going to hand out medals after you finish running?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm signed up
Okay,
to pass out medals.
good. So the one thing I will say, since you run the relay, I'm going to use this moment. So you guys can all come down to the finish line. We have bleachers there for the relay team to wait for their team to come in, and you can all run through a gate. You have to have your bibs on, but you can run in together, which will be very meaningful, I think.
It will
Crossing
be.
the finish line
Then
with your
we'll give you
family.
about 5 minutes, and we're going to put you back to work. Just kidding. We got to have a little humor with these. This is a hard day, but we're so appreciative of all you do and your leadership, and I'm so glad you're running to remember. That's pretty powerful.
Well, thank you. I'm excited. I've done the 5K for lots of years, but it's exciting to do it with my family. They know what it means to me, and so they've been involved for several years doing it, and it just really means a lot to me that they are carrying this on, and I think they will for years and years.
That's incredible.
That's special. Thanks, Kim. Thank you. Joining us now is Darren Rankin. His mother, Beverly, was a survivor from the Social Security Administration.
Well, I'm just going to say, I've met a lot of folks over the last 28 years. Beverly Rankin is one of my all-time favorites. And the memorial would not be here, literally. I mean, she did so much work early on and tried to always be there for her kids, but she was, I think, one of her processes of healing was working through the memorial process. And so
It was.
so honored, Darren, that you're here. And
I'm glad to be here.
thanks. Darren's not running the marathon,
Right.
but he'll be
No.
running.
But you're going to be busy.
Yes, I am going to be
Tell
busy.
us about what you do.
This year, I'm going to be with Allegiance Credit Union. I will be setting up their station to hand out water and the snacks that they have along the way.
And so you work with FedEx. And
Yes,
so
I
you
do.
drive. FedEx is a great sponsor, and they give us trucks for each of the water stops. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, it is. One time Darren came to my door, and I'm like, and we had this conversation. I'll never forget it. And so I said to Kevin Hayes, do you know Darren? Right here, yeah. I'm like, you know, his mom was a survivor of the bombing. He's like, I had no idea. And so we had a great discussion about it. I think he came and talked to you about it.
Yeah, he had no idea whatsoever. And it was the weirdest thing. He came up to me one day and asked me, you know, was your mom in the bombing? And I was, yes, she was. How did you know? And he explained that he had had a conversation with you. And that's kind of where it started with me volunteering and helping on Sundays. Was he figured that out, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was a little apprehensive at first. I'm kind of one of those people that I tried to push myself away from remembering some of the stuff because it was rough as a kid. But I'm glad I did it. I enjoy it. I will be doing it every year that I possibly can.
Yeah, I should say FedEx sponsors the trucks, but all the employees volunteer their time.
Yes.
And it's really powerful.
Yeah.
So take us back to April 19th, 1995. You were in elementary.
Yeah, I was at Overholser Elementary. It sounds weird, but I can remember vividly every second of that day. I remember when the blast hit, I was in the restroom, washing my hands, saw the mirrors kind of
Really?
shake back and forth, and I was like, this is weird. I'd never experienced anything like that. So I came out of the bathroom, and it seemed like a matter of seconds, all the teachers were out in the hallway, and I thought, we were supposed to be heading downtown for an actual field trip.
Oh, you were?
Yes, and I was like, they're not supposed to be out here. We're supposed to all be in the classrooms waiting to get called. Well, they pulled us into a classroom, and they had the TV going. And I had no idea my mom was in the building, but something in my mind just said, this isn't right. Something is seriously wrong. And I kind of lost it, let my emotions get to me. And I got taken to the office, and I overheard, still not knowing that my mom was in the building, overheard the teachers whispering that, his mom was in the building. That's when
That's how you found out? Wow.
Yeah, that was the worst moment I think I could possibly ever have as a child. But
So you didn't know for a while?
No, I'm wanting to say, we didn't find out till late afternoon that my mom had survived. My dad, I think, he worked at the Federal Reserve,
Right.
and I think it took him hours to figure out.
Which is
where-
literally across the street?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
a block
It
away?
was-
It's a block away?
He said it was chaos, complete chaos, and he happened to run into, I guess, a coworker of my mother, and she said, she's down there, which was probably the best news he had heard.
So Beverly was one of in the Social Security Administration, and she and her good friend Janet Beck. I mean, you guys, I can't tell you all the work they have done on the memorial, from archives and picture identification, and we have this the third anniversary. We were giving out bells. Touched by an Angel no, it wasn't Touched by an Angel, but it was the same producer, and she was here and filming part of it, and everyone was going to ring a bell, and so they shipped all these bells in. I mean, like boxes. We had a staff of 2 at the time. And so they came down on their typical Thursday night to work and put the bells together. I mean, just the memories I have of your mom and just the work she put in to get us to where we are today. I will never forget those folks.
So this race is especially personal to you. Can you talk to us about why?
It's terrible that we had to go through a tragedy to actually have something like this, where we have to do a marathon to remember 168 lives. I feel like it touches me the most because my mom was in the building, but it is great whenever I get out there and I see everyone coming together. It feels like that's how it should be. It really is. It makes me happy. I never thought I would be able to, be happy about it because I always kind of blocked it out, but I'm glad to be a part of it. I kind of feel like I'm taken up where my mom kind of left off. Yeah.
Yeah, his mom since passed away, but you really are, and she'd be very proud. Actually, I can hear her talking about it right now.
That's what everyone says.
The big guy, but
Yeah.
But she's hilarious. Had a great laugh and a great sense of humor, and I can hear her laughing about us now doing this.
I'm
but
sure she's up there looking down.
yeah,
and
it
proud
took
of
you a
me.
long time to come visit the memorial.
It did. Gosh, I didn't see it until after she had passed, and it was really amazing to go in there and be able to see it. It was a little rough because I did see a Survivor video where they had interviewed her, and that was, it was so fresh in my mind losing her that was the only real rough part of it. But I was so glad I went. It took my wife kind of forcing me to go, but I'm glad she did.
That's what wives are for.
Yes.
No, I think that people kind of have to take that step on their own timeline, but
Yeah,
I
sometimes
would,
you can be
I would
nudged,
love to
but-
get my dad up there, but I think I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
ever be able to pull
Yeah.
that string a little bit.
People who live through this, I mean, I say this all the time. It's no art museum. I mean, it is.
Right.
We have had recently the founder of the Holocaust Museum here for a couple of days working, and I know when I watch him go through, and he gets emotional. It's like, I mean, like it's a reminder how hard the story is and how fresh. I mean, it's so real and riveting. And these are real people. You guys are all real. This is not make believe. This is not fake. It's not AI. These are real folks trying to move on with their lives 29 years later without loved ones, without friends, with some of their own issues. They're still working through surgeries. And while the community has moved forward in a great way, we would give it all back to have all these folks back. And we would all say that. Bill Clinton said that on the 20th, and I've thought that's the best way to say it, is that we'd all give it back. But to honor these folks like this, and there's hundreds of others, but to see these folks and really the next generation moving on is a great honor for what these folks sacrifice that day.
It's another way to keep their memories alive, to keep the story alive, to just take time to pause and reflect.
And if ever a time were to come together, it is. We saw it in '95, as Sarah said. We are so divisive right now. It is a place and a time. We could say this on the sacred ground, find common ground, but we don't say it as a tagline. We say it with great meaning that these folks come together. I mean, none of them knew each other before April. I mean, these folks here today. I mean, they've all met because of this, and they're carrying on the honor. And so that's what the museum does. It's a hard place, but it's also powerful. And to hear the stories.
Yeah, and offers some healing and hope. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, well, Darren, thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you
sharing
for
your
having me
story,
on.
and thanks for carrying on your mom's legacy.
Yeah, and I know the Allegiance team's going to be really happy that you're there on that Sunday morning helping them. But they're a great
They're in
group
the
too.
funnest spot too.
Are
I
they?
feel like,
Where are they?
It's off of Harvey Parkway.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there's a guy out there playing music the whole time, just cheering everyone on.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It is.
Well, that
the
was probably
funnest
your
thing.
mom's bank.
Yes, it actually was.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still my bank.
It is?
Actually,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's credit union, but yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you
Great
for
to have
having
you
me.
on. Thank you for your work.
Since its partnership began in 2016, Express Employment International has enthusiastically co-sponsored the 5K race, our largest race in Saturday's race lineup.
I'm Bill Stoller, CEO of Express Employment International. With our international headquarters in Oklahoma City, Express is privileged to be part of the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. We honor the memory of those lost and forever changed on April 19th. We salute the courage of all who responded to help the healing, and we celebrate the unbreakable spirit of all Oklahomans. Good luck, runners. May the wind always be at your back.
Our next guest is Deputy Oklahoma City Police Chief Brian Jennings. Chief Jennings was part of the rescue and recovery in April of 1995. He is also running his first marathon. Chief Jennings, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You worked the scene 29 years ago. Now you're running to remember. What's that feel like to you?
Well, it kind of brings back some memories of the event, for sure, just because of the emotion involved with this marathon. It can't help but bring it back, to those days of the event and the following days, too, as well. So I'm really looking forward to it, though. I mean, for the first one, what better marathon to do than the one in your own community and the meaning it has to it.
Right. You were young. Yeah, I mean, obviously we were all younger in 1995, but you were a young cop in 1995. You're now in the leadership of the police. We couldn't do this race without the police, first of all, so thank you, and to the men and women who help us make this a safe race. This is a team effort. I will say that. And,
Absolutely.
and safety is key.
Yes.
But you are now going to run a course that you've helped secure many years.
Yeah, I was there the first marathon. I remember I was up on North May directing traffic, and I remember thinking to myself and actually saying it out loud, I can't believe these people are running 26 miles.
And here you are.
I'd never do that, and then...
Never say never, right?
I never say never, and then, now I'm trying it.
So what made you catch the bug?
It's kind of an interesting story. About a year ago, some members of our department did a relay race in Baker to Vegas. It's 250 teams across the world, police officers compete. 120 miles, and so I participated in one of the legs, and I didn't do very well like I should, and so I was like, I'm going to sign up for a half marathon training program at Red Coyote. So I did that in the fall, did the first half marathon, and then you're around those people, and they're all talking about the marathon training coming up in January, and so like started thinking more and more about it. Well, I've done half of it. Why don't I just keep going and just do the full? And then you go back and think about being there and how great of an event it is, and it's like it was pretty easy decision. So I started and signed up in January, and here we go.
And it takes an enormous amount of training and effort.
The time has been the hardest part. Yeah, it's a lot of hours per week on it, but I couldn't have done it without the Red Coyote program. You guys are familiar with them. They're so supportive. They teach you, because at first I was like, I'll never be able to run 10 miles, much less 20 miles, but here we are, and we're getting to it.
And so your training's going well? I mean, it better be. We're here.
3 weeks.
Yeah, we've done a couple
out.
20-milers,
Yeah.
and so didn't have to get called to go to the hospital or anything.
That's
so
good.
we made that. And,
That's good.
Been working on my nutrition, and so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
I was so excited when you told me you were running, but just because I know how important you are and the police are to this race. And we've been in dozens, maybe 100 meetings together over the years, but to have someone like you jump in and run says a lot. I mean, it says a lot to the officers, younger officers who work for you, just the leadership and the example you're setting. And so thank you for that. But truly, this podcast is the week of the anniversary. I mean, the week, it's the anniversary week, and we always pause to remember. And your men and women do that as well as anyone. The police and fire were critical in those first few minutes. And, but fast forward 29 years, we're still counting on the same people. And I think that says so much, that these are the same men and women who've been with us. I mean, that doesn't happen in every city.
No.
No, and that's what that really makes it so special, is the same officers want to work it every year. They want to be involved with it, or they're wanting to come out and help and run it in some capacity. And you get that feedback. When I remember working it out on a post during traffic as a young officer, I got tired at the end of the day, and it wasn't from directing traffic. It was for saying, you're welcome. Because every runner to a T would say, thank you so much for being out here. And you say, you're welcome, you're welcome.
Isn't that nice?
It is the best thing. And they all would tell you it was the best city to come to participate because of how nice people are and the standard we set. And so that makes you feel good.
Well, thank you for what you do every day. And I think it is full circle when you think about how crazy these runners are. And now you're one of the crazies.
Yeah.
Well, and full circle, too, in that, you were there in 1995. And
that's the most important part,
Here you are 29 years later, running the full marathon.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck.
Yes.
We'll be looking for you to cross the finish line. And we'll have some.
Can't wait.
We'll have the mayor or someone there to put that medal on you and to celebrate
big celebration.
all the work you've done.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you very
You
much.
guys do a great job, too.
Well,
Thank
we're
you.
grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Carrie and I took our show on the road, and we are at the Thunder practice facility talking to Mike Muscala. He's gearing up for an exciting time ahead, starting the playoffs coming up.
Yeah, I just got back from a long road trip. Glad to be back in OKC.
Yeah, you got the big welcome wagon last night, right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
How was that?
That was really cool. I didn't get to experience it last year with the playing game, so So it was cool for me to experience
A
this
lot of
time
people,
around. It was awesome
a lot of crazy
support.
fans come out and support all hours of the day and night. You
I
gotta
know.
love it.
It's lovely.
But that really is a little bit of what we saw, 29 years ago in Oklahoma City. It was just people rallied behind. When there was something to rally behind, people show up and serve and share their kindness and share their support. As we face the 29th anniversary of the bombing and the marathon's coming up, what's it feel like to be in Oklahoma again?
I feel very grateful. Feel very grateful. Yeah, I've been all over in the last year. So this is a special place for me.
And you love Oklahoma City. You live downtown and you walk around and
That's
the
right.
memorial you like.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I walk through the memorial every now and then. I've been to the museum once, and yeah, it's a beautiful space. And yeah, I love OKC.
Tell us what makes Oklahoma City special to you. What's different about than other cities you go to?
I mean, I think that there's just a feeling you have when you're there. I don't know. I mean, you kind of got to experience it. All my friends that come visit, they feel the same way. There's an intimacy to it. There's a creativity to it. There's a simplicity as well. And like you mentioned, people rally behind things with good causes, I think, and that's something that's really cool.
I think that's funny that you say that because I've heard that before too. It's like you have to experience Oklahoma City to understand it. You kind of hear about it from far away and you're like, I don't know what would be so special about that. But then when people come here, they're blown away by the kindness of people, just by the unity that we have. So
Yeah.
that's neat to hear another outsider's perspective of that's your thought too.
Y'all both from here?
I am.
I am, yeah. I grew up here, lived here almost my entire life, and I was a high schooler when the bombing happened. And fast forward now to an adult, it's just surreal to me to see how much our city has changed since the bombing 29 years ago. If you had told me, when I was in high school that not only would we have an NBA team in the city, but they would be headed to the playoffs. I mean, Carrie, wouldn't that be
I was watching the news
you?
the other night. I think we take a lot of things for granted, but one thing we saw after the bombing was people came together, and we knew we could do that. I don't think the rest of the world realized how strong Oklahomans could be. And so then when the things happened, and Sam explained, brought the Hornets in during Katrina, and then decided when the investors bought the team and brought them back to Oklahoma City. I mean, it really is kind of the exclamation mark on rebuilding our city. And again, we'd give all the lives back to not be in this position. But how you guys represent yourselves on and off the court, the community work you do, is that different here than other places?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I'm curious, in what other ways have y'all seen the city change over the years? I mean, you mentioned the Thunder, but I'm curious.
Well, when I graduated from college, the river was a ditch. They mowed it.
Yeah.
And my kids have never known their life in Oklahoma City without a river or the Thunder. They just think it all happens. And so I think as we continue to get further and further away from how far we've grown and expanded, the Thunder's played a huge part in that. And, Sam's intentionality of getting every player to the memorial.
Yeah.
You came through that, right? And you saw the site.
I didn't go with the team because I went like the day before by myself. Yeah. But it was, I want to go back, and something that really it left an impression on me in my visit there was at the end there was a section that the museum challenged the visitors to how would you deal with the aftermath of certain parts of it, and that's something I want to revisit. Yeah.
It's good you picked up on that.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that.
I thought that was a good part
It says a lot about you.
Yeah.
And as you looked across those 168 chairs, the field of empty chairs outside,
Yeah.
what does that make you? What does that say to you personally, just of the loss and moving forward as a city? When you wear the words Oklahoma City on your chest, does all that come to play?
I mean, there were the Memorial Edition jerseys that we wore a few years ago too, so that definitely registered in that sense. And yeah, I mean the memorial is an interesting experience, I think, because there's a beauty to it, but there's also a deep sadness as well. But I think it inspires that reflection that is an important part of it.
So you're probably one of just a handful of players that was even born in 1995, and you're still very young. But
Yeah.
but you're playing with some folks who were not even born at that time.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever talk about that, or is that something you guys reflect on? Is just the role that Thunder plays in the city and moving forward?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every NBA team has obviously a connection with the city it plays in, and here in OKC, there's a special component to the team and organization, like you touched on, and it's a big reason why I'm grateful to be back.
Well,
Yeah. What about a marathon? Would you ever consider running a marathon?
It's a goal of mine once I retire from playing, but I have to slowly work my way up.
Yeah.
Have you run one?
I've run half.
Okay. How was
Yes.
that?
It's a lot of fun. It really is. It's a long way.
Yeah.
gratefully, I have to work it, so I don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that excuse now that I get to work it, so I
How
can
long
sit out. But it's fun.
How long did you train for it?
Oh, months.
Really?
Yeah.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it's kind of relatable to what you're going through right now. Like you've been in a marathon to get to the playoffs. It's just a long stretch to get to. Now you're in the fun part, but it's kind of like a marathon. You do a lot of training and you get to the end, and that's the fun and that's the reward.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, we're going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
When you're done playing basketball, we'll have you back to run the marathon.
You got to start
There's
with
no
that.
place I'd
Yep.
rather run my first marathon than here.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
We'll make sure you get the opportunity whenever you're ready, but let's
right.
not hurry to that. Let's keep playing
Yeah,
basketball
let's keep
first.
playing basketball
All right,
for an
that's a
hour.
deal.
Yeah.
That's a
Thanks,
deal.
Mike, and
Yeah.
thanks to the Thunder for all that they do to
Incredible
partnership with
partnership
the memorial.
and just the making sure and the intentionality of getting the players to the site. They were really helpful with they gave every volunteer 2 tickets this year. I mean,
Oh, cool.
Thunder's stepped up in many ways, and we're really grateful.
Yeah.
Thanks for representing them and your incredible team, and we wish you the best
Yeah,
of luck.
good luck.
Absolutely.
Let's
Thank
go.
you. Nice meeting y'all.
Yeah,
Let's
go
do it.
Thunder.
Yeah, go
Thunder up.
Thunder up. That's right.
Well, Carrie, that was a powerful just remembrance of why we run and powerful stories to hear about those lives that were lost, to hear from people who were there that day and first responders.
I call these folks walking, talking artifacts. I'm not sure they love that title, but they really do carry on the mission in a way that you can't. But
Yeah.
but they tell it from this perspective that is so real. And I think when you get to know these people or just hear their story, you realize that they're bringing great honor, not just to their loved ones and their friends, but really to this community. And they represent this. Oklahoma City could have chosen to do 1,000 different things, and we chose to remember, which is the hardest thing to do. I remember I had a museum person in helping me when the museum was about to open, and she said, it would have been easier to put a plaque in the federal building. You guys chose the hard way to remember. And I thought, boy, she's not kidding. And I've never regretted once doing what we've done, but I will say this community took on the hard part of saying, every time you drive downtown, drive to a Thunder game, you're going to drive past this place. It's going to force you to remember. And there's a lot of good in that. And I think in 2024, it's good for us to remember and work to make sure we don't ever repeat what we've all had to go through.
Yeah. And this, just as we approach, we're a week out now from the race, and I do think this is a time where people are getting tired in their training. If you're training for a full, your body might be tired, and hearing these stories, you just can't help but to be inspired and to really just dig down deep and find the just
The
last
strength, yep.
strength to get you through on race day.
And tomorrow's April 19th. It's a ceremony open to anyone. If you're looking for inspiration, come down to the site, or if the rain decides to move in, then we'll be at the church. But there's nothing more inspiring than April 19th. And hearing from these folks and hearing, you're going to hear about how today the federal government is using lessons they learned on this site 29 years ago to keep us safe. And it's really remarkable. I had the good fortune to hear about it in November at the White House. It's not a political speech. It is about the good men and women who make up the federal government, of how they are coming together to use what we learned here. And some of those, you heard Nick talk about it, the Homeland Security and the law enforcement, they're in the RMAC on race morning making sure that we're safe, not just on the start and finish, but all 26 miles. A lot of people put their neck on the line to make sure we're out there. And so if you're looking for inspiration, come down. Or if you don't live in Oklahoma City, flip on, it'll be live streamed, or one of the local television stations are carrying it. But there is no marathon without April 19th. And so I say that because we and Nick said this really well, this is a crazy month, and you have to stop and make yourself, okay, this is why we're doing this. And this is way bigger than us, way bigger than my staff, way bigger than 3,000 volunteers. It's about the mission. And so we're really grateful that people make this work. And it is we'll get through April 19th in a way that will honor and remember. And then we will celebrate next weekend at the race. Right. And that I think is a way to celebrate and honor their lives, is probably what they would all want us to be doing. And so there's nothing like, running this marathon that looks like the last 29 years. I mean, it just does. It's a beast to keep going every day for people. And then there's hope at the end. So anyway, we're really grateful they all came, and
we are.
That's not easy to do.
No, and I'm thankful for their stories, and I hope that it's inspiring to listeners and to runners.
Yep.
And to just take this time to pause and reflect and remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have one more podcast. Well, actually, I guess we have two. But the next podcast is live at the expo.
Yeah.
Sarah will be working. She'll have been on her 24-hour stint.
She'll probably be
hope she's not hearing this. Yeah. She'll be giving me the mean
evil
look.
Eye.
Yeah.
Not that Sarah never could.
No, she's so sweet, so to speak. But noon to 1, we're live, and we're right near back by the T-shirts. Where you pick your T-shirt.
Yep. If you're still looking for information, any questions you have on the race, course, all of that, be sure to download the app.
The app is your best friend.
It is your best friend.
If we were to call it for weather, if we were to make an adjustment for security, if we were just trying to encourage you, it all comes through the app. So download the app. Even if you had last year's, delete it. Download the new app. We'll try not to do this to you every year. But tracking's there. All the information's there. It's also on our website. I think you're going to be really inspired by both April 19th and race weekend. And that's, again, why we run.
Yep. So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Run to Remember podcast. The Run to Remember Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 26th through the 28th. There's still time to sign up for any of the races. Visit okcmarathon.com and follow the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for all the latest updates. This is your host, Kristen Fairs. Let's marathon.
Keep on